Before we get this video started, I would just like to express my sincere condolences to the family of former NFL running back Cedric Benson, who passed away yesterday. A lot of us older guys might remember said he was a big deal running back in the mid to late 2000s. And I specifically remember his time with the Cincinnati Bengals, him and Carson Palmer, what they were doing over there. So my condolences to the family of Cedric Myron Benson. Cedric Benson was 36.
Holy Grail.
Hey there, football fans. My name is Derek P. Fields, and welcome to the Gridiron Blitz. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because here we talk all things Detroit Lions. Well, the Lions played the Texans last night in Week 2, Game 2 of the 2019 preseason, and they fell short. They fell short yesterday, losing 23-30 to the Houston Texans. But we're going to do kind of like we did last year. After every game, I pulled up the box score, and we just kind of spent a couple minutes or so looking at certain things. And then I'll tell you guys what I liked, and hopefully you can leave what you liked in the comments. I also mentioned some things I didn't like, but let's take a look at it. So the Lions did fall 30-23. Here is something that was absolutely amazing. First things first, let's start with David Fales. Now, last week, I actually ripped David Fales. I've been ripping him from the beginning, his arrival in Detroit. But I must say, yesterday, David Fales showed up and showed out. And he actually might have been the hero of yesterday's game, bringing the Lions back if it wasn't for four kind of drop passes in a row. Two of them were absolutely... 3 of the 4 passes were absolutely catchable, and it was one pass that was a little outside of the fingertips of the receiver. But David Fales, I was very impressed with him yesterday. Now, I'm not going to get too excited about Mr. Fales because he's kind of got a track record that doesn't really bode well for his future in the NFL. I will say that the Lions did call him, so I guess that means something. He wound up going 12 for 19 for 226 yards with an average of 11.9, no turnovers, and 1 touchdown with a passer rating of 121.8. Now, here's the thing that really impressed me about David Fales. David Fales actually came in a little bit after the third quarter started. So what they did is they allowed the new guy, Josh Johnson, to play the first 2 quarters. And he actually came out for the start of the second half and I believe played a series or 2. And then David Fales took over. So he didn't even really have a full half of a game. But nevertheless, he did really well. Now, in Josh Johnson's defense, he's only been part of the team for a week tops, so he's still learning the system and learning things. Compared to how David Fales looked last week, and it was like night and day from this week. Now, I still don't like the way he throws the ball. He doesn't look like he's got a ton of power behind him, but he showed up yesterday and he performed really, really well. So shout out to David Fales for doing his thing. On the Houston Texans side, you have Deshaun Watson that came in and did his thing. He only played 1 series. I think it was that opening series. He went 5 for 7 for 60 yards and led them to their first score. My thing is, Joe Webb, initially, they had this guy looking like the GOAT. The Lions had this guy looking like the GOAT. I remember seeing him in Minnesota, and Joe Webb looked really good yesterday. So it was really cool kind of to see 2 back-to-back, a starter black quarterback and also a backup black quarterback. I don't know how often you see that in the NFL, but his Deshaun Watson in this 1 series managed to pass a rating of 136.9. He also had no interceptions as well. So I was really also very impressed with the usual suspects, Zach Zenner, who only had 3 carries, Kerryon Johnson, things like that. But Mark Thompson came in and he only rushed for 25 yards, but it seemed like so much more. Didn't it seem like he's a big, strong dude, and it seemed like he did way, way more than that. But he only had 5 carries for 25 yards. But I did like what I saw out of Mark Thompson. And I feel like the Lions are going to have a really tough time when they have to cut this roster down to 53-man roster. Do I think Mark makes the team? I'm going to say no, but he will be on some other team somewhere else. Receiving-wise, we know no Danny, no Kenny, and Marvin didn't even travel with the team. So we had the other guys, the guys fighting for roster spots that had to kind of pick up the slack. And they did very well yesterday. Aside from some key drops from Nada, and I think Fulgham dropped a few, everybody had the dropsies yesterday. But Andy Jones had a 48-yard catch, which was amazing. I think it was like an over-the-shoulder catch. And he had just those 2 catches for 60 yards. Brandon Powell showed up. Travis Fulgham. So all of the Lions, the top 3 Lions receivers for last night, all had over 50 yards and less than 3 or less receptions. Jonathan Duhart made a nice catch. Tom Kennedy reminds me a lot of Zach Zenner just from the build and the way they move. He looked good yesterday for his 2 catches. TJ Hawkinson came in, caught a pass for 22 yards. And Isaac Nada, who could have had more, caught 1 pass for 17 yards. But this is the guy that's supposed to have the best hands out of all the tight ends, and he did not see you did not see that yesterday. So maybe it was just nerves and things like that. But I don't know. No Logan Thomas. So I'm not sure what's going on with him. But if he doesn't play, then I don't see him making the team. So he did not show up at all last night and play. Now on Houston's side, there's a guy that I heard his name, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that the same guy? Mr. Darren Fells down here. Darren Fells, he used to be our tight end a few years ago. He went to Cleveland for a little while, and now he's with the Houston Texans, and he caught 1 pass for 13 yards. The Detroit Lions had 3 fumbles yesterday, 2 by Josh and 1 by Tom Kennedy, so that's something they definitely have to work on. I think the biggest standout for me after we had like 3 major standouts in my opinion. And when I say standouts, I mean people who showed up and showed out. We had obviously David Fells. Congratulations again. Maybe he should unpack tell his wife to unpack because he showed up yesterday. So it was a lot of people. I take that back because Jelani Tavai, he had 4 tackles. He was everywhere while he was in the game. JRM had 5 tackles. Will Harris had 6 tackles. Miles Killebrew was everywhere, had 6 tackles. It was a lot of people. Look at the defense. Everybody was making plays yesterday on the defense. No, I didn't see any Eric Lee. Thank God he didn't show up. The run D looked fantastic. So this is the second week in a row. While the kind of like the backup run D, when you put the backup to the backups in, is when guys start getting kind of run all over. But very early, first 6 quarters of NFL football, the Lions run D looks very, very good. So hopefully our front 7 can help the secondary out when the season starts and we get those big dogs in there like Trey Flowers and Snacks and Mike Daniels. But overall, the Lions, they looked a lot better than they did yesterday. Jamal Agnew, who played defense last week, was playing special teams yesterday. And I feel like that he probably will retain the kick returner position. So overall, it's a lot to dissect here, but I don't want to make this video too long. Overall, the Detroit Lions did way better than last week, much, much better than last week. They still fell short in the preseason, 23-30. But again, as far as win and loss totals, this does not matter. It is all about player evaluation, working out kinks, and getting better at offense and defense. And basically, for those guys who are fighting for jobs like Brandon Powell and David Fells and, Josh Johnson, those guys, because there's no guarantee that either one of those gentlemen will be on the team. I mean, but at the same time, what's going on with Tom Savage? I don't know. Overall, though, a much better showing than last week. And hopefully next week will be even better when the Lions take on the Buffalo Bills. Now, there was no Matthew Stafford, very little Kerryon Johnson. I think we saw C.J. Anderson for a few plays. Slay was out there. Melvin was out there. So a few more starters than last week were out there. Jesse James was out there. He caught a pass. I think it wound up coming back for a play flag on the Lions. But overall, the offense did pick up, ironically, when David Fales came in the game. If this is any indication of what we have to look forward to, last week we put three points up with Tom Savage, David Fales. This week we put up 23 points with the combined effort of Josh Johnson and David Fales. So next week, I do expect to see Matthew Stafford, maybe some DA, maybe some Galladay for a series or two. And then week 4, we're going to get a lot more of our starters. With that being said, yesterday, even though they lost, it was a very exciting game. Jelani Tavai will be a stud. Will Harris made some plays. Awarie looked good and bad at the same time. So we've got some stuff. So if last week's game made you kind of question what was going on, this week should actually give you a lot of hope to see our starters in there in the future of this season. Anyway, guys, my name is Derek P. Fields. This is the Gridiron Blitz. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate that. Also, give me a like. Helps the video get in rotation. In the big dark hole that is YouTube, your video has to be seen in order to be liked. So that helps that happen. And with that being said, thank you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Derek is out. Peace.